Hello, and once again, welcome to the program, Your Local Government. I'm Bob Miller with Blue Ridge Communications, and this is the program where you'll learn about how your local government works. And today, our subject is going to be the Lancaster Employment and Training Agency, and our guest is Joe Schiffer, who is the Executive Director. Joe, thank you for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
This is the first time that anyone from LEDA has ever been on the program, and I would imagine there's probably some viewers that said LEDA, they've probably never heard of it, so you're probably a very well-kept secret, so we're anxious to hear about you. But before we do that, before we learn about LEDA, we'd like to learn a little bit about you, because one of the interesting things about Lancaster County government is there's people that have been there a long time. So tell us your history with Lancaster County government in general, and then how long you've been the Executive Director.
Okay. I was born and raised in Lancaster County. I've been with the County of Lancaster for just short of 15 years, and I started at LEDA 15 years ago, where I started as a frontline staff. We did welfare to work programming, moved on to the operations manager, and then about 6.5 years ago, I had an opportunity again within Lancaster County government to move to the domestic relations section department in the government, and about a year ago interviewed for the executive director position at LEDA and was fortunate enough to have the commissioners choose me to take on this role.
Okay. Now, tell us about the organization. Give us maybe like the 30-second big overview of what you do, and then let's move into the organizational structure, where you fall in Lancaster County government.
Okay. Well, LEDA is just what it says, Lancaster Employment and Training Agency. We have a variety of programs that assist people in retraining or job search assistance to find employment. We're part of the Lancaster County Career Link. We're one of the 17 partners, and we also work closely with the Lancaster County Workforce Investment Board to apply the policies and procedures of the county and the Workforce Investment Act to enable us to provide the services to the community.
Okay, and where do you fall in the Lancaster County government? Do you report to the commissioners? And
we report directly to the commissioners, but as I said also, we work very closely with the Workforce Investment Board to make sure we're following the appropriate guidelines in the Workforce Investment Act, which is where the majority of our funding comes from for our activities.
Sure. Now let's talk about the funding. How are you funded?
Again, we're funded through the Workforce Investment Act of 1998, and we're also funded through the Department of Public Welfare, or Bureau of Employment and Training programs, and we provide welfare to work services for many Lancaster County residents who are receiving cash assistance.
Yes. Now, let's briefly talk about the services for those that are looking for jobs. Let's do that view from 10,000 feet first, and then we'll get into specifics.
Okay. Well, we have 3 levels of service. When you come into the Career Link, and again, LEDA is a partner, and we're one of the larger partners, but there's 17 other agencies. But what we've come up with is, when you come in to use our services, the first thing you're going to be offered is our core services. There's a resource room on the ground floor of our building at Liberty Place, right in the city of Lancaster, and people can walk in off the street. There's no eligibility requirements. They just have to fill out some basic demographic information and an application that allows us to help serve them better. But they can come in, they can use those core services. They include a resource room where they can access the computer, access the CWDS or PA Career Link website, which has job openings posted on it. It also helps to assist the participant in developing a basic resume that they can submit online to the various companies that advertise their openings. Other services they can get in the core portion of our programming. We have orientations and we have seminars on resume preparation, interviewing, application 101. We also have some labor market or labor market informational seminars that we run to help people get started, to know where they need to go, to help them develop that path and make sure it's the right path for them.
Exactly.
The next level of service is called intensive services, and that's where we do some of our job search instruction. We also have case management. Some assessment goes on there. It's really focused and geared towards some pretty intensive assessment in our Ready to Work program. We have our Job Club program, which functions in that area, and Again, case management, for those individuals that are seeking training, they will get some very intensive case management and supervision during that portion of their participation in intensive services. Again, allowing them to make sure they're taking the right steps to access the next step, which is training services. And that's the final, but if I back up, intensive services, there's eligibility that's required, and I know we're going to talk about that in a little bit. But after intensive services, then there's training services. Training services, it's just what it says. It's various different kinds of training. We have pre-employment training that could range anywhere from a day to 6 to 8 weeks of construction or welding training, something like that. We also have on-the-job training, where we would place somebody with an employer who needs to fill a position, and we help pay some of the wage to that employer to help bring that person up to speed and get them the skills they need. And then we also have ITA, which is individual training accounts, where they can access training at a local school or vendor throughout the area.
Wow, very intensive and very thorough. Before the break, let's walk through the requirements for that no-cost assistance, and then what happens when someone meets with a LEDA intake counselor.
Okay. Well, the first step is they will go to an orientation. We have career development seminars, we have job club orientations, we have a variety of orientations throughout the week, where that's kind of the point where we have people start. After that orientation, they're going to schedule an intake appointment. The intake appointment, again, it's through the Workforce Investment Act. It's a federal legislation, so there's a lot of required documents that they bring in. And to be eligible, we need to look at their citizenship, their income in some cases, whether they're receiving unemployment, whether they've been laid off from a company. But that would be the first meeting after the orientation. Once determined eligible, they would move on to, let's say they want to access an ITA or training account through LEDA. They would sit down with a career advisor and go through our suitability process, because there are two parts that go on within LEDA. Many times people come in and they hear, I'm eligible, so they feel that they can access the training monies right away. That's not necessarily the case. We look at another process called suitability, where we want to make sure, because we get limited federal dollars, we want to make sure that we spend them appropriately. So for example, we don't want to send someone to a school to be a dog catcher, because who's going to hire a dog catcher when they graduate? We also look at other things. We look at, do they have the funds to take care of their family and themselves personally while we pay for the training? Do they have transportation? Do they have child care? What's their educational background? Do they have a BS? Do they have an associate's? Do they have a master's degree? And we look to see, are they job ready now? If they're job ready, we'd like to refer them to our Job Club program, which is our intensive job search program. If not, and they make it through the suitability process and they complete all the documents that we require, we can issue an ITA. We can, again, talk to them about OJT. But suitability is a very, very big part of it. We want to be good stewards of the public's money that they're investing in this program, and make sure that the people who truly need the skills and the upgrades to be able to access that. And that's what we do. Excellent.
Okay, it's time for a break, and we'll be back to continue this discussion right after these messages. Stay with us.